Om Shri Sairam. Sairam. Today, for this evening, we have with us a very nice speaker. His name is Sri Srinivas Yalamati Garu. Let me give a brief introduction about Brother Srinivas. Sri Srinivas Yalamati Garu is a dhanyajeevi who has full blessings of Swamy. He is fondly called by all as YC. At a very early age, he was blessed by Swamy with Darsanam, Sparsanarn and Sambhashanam. He was born to Sri Y Narasimha Rao Garu and Srimati Devi. He is a devotee whom Swamy was always confident of performing real seva to needy. Sri Srinivas Garu had his early childhood in Hyderabad. He was a student of Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Vihar school near Shivam, Hyderabad. He had his commerce graduation and masters in marketing from Hyderabad and leadership program from IIM, Ahmedabad. He worked in senior positions in multinational banking and insurance companies. Sri Srinivas is actively involved in Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization activities since 1988. His character was molded by Bhagwan to become a tool for seva. He was bestowed the responsibility by Swamy to tour all districts of Andhra Pradesh and motivate youth to join Swamy's Brigade of Service to Humanity in 2003. Swamy formed Sri Sathya Sai Grama Seva Trust for AP and TS and announced Sri Srinivas as president of the trust in a large state-level conference conducted in Sai Kulwant Hall. Swamy himself signed a check and gave it to him and the group for the seva activities that they were performing and which they are continuing still now. Sri Srinivas was heading the Hyderabad youth. He and the group have got several interviews with Swamy. Swamy gave them all a bus so that they can all go together and do seva in Hyderabad. With the help of Bhagwan's guidance, they have constructed many schools, hospitals, reverse osmosis plants, etc. etc. On personal level, Swamy performed his marriage, arranged for his house, took care of him very lovingly. Indeed, Swamy has been the nucleus of his life. Recently, Sri Srinivas was involved in the conceptualizing and execution of several state-level seva activities and youth projects. He was appointed as National Coordinator for Sri Sathya Sai Vidya Jyoti project a few years ago. He was heavily involved in the core team that conceptualized and documented the mammoth national service project of Sri Sathya Sai Seva Organization, India. The team has now implemented the Vidya Jyoti project in around 700 schools. With these words, we would like to very lovingly invite Brother Srinivas right now to speak to us and share his experiences. Brother Srinivas will be speaking to us on the topic, his inspirational message to Sai Youth. Sairam, brother. Sairam and
Sairam.
We are waiting to listen to you. Sairam.
Sairam to you all. It's such a pleasure to be part of this program. I firstly offer my loving and humble pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet and revered elders, sisters and brothers who are virtually part of this program. I offer my loving Sairams to all of you. Indeed, it's a great opportunity for me to relive those beautiful moments spent at his presence. I feel overwhelmed when I remember those instances. And today, I would like to share some of the beautiful learnings. In fact, the stories that I'm likely to share in 1 hour or so are really transformational by nature because they had a huge impact to several youth across our state. So we keep discussing these beautiful stories that Swamy narrated to us. We keep discussing the profound truths that these beautiful stories convey. So all this full credit to Bhagwan. Firstly, I would like to state that all this credit is to Bhagwan. I am just being a mouthpiece here, and all the stories belong to him. All the accolades should belong to him. All the love should belong to him. I am just trying to do my bit of transmitting his loving message, so that all of us can relive those beautiful moments and get connected to him as always. So, Sairam, and here I begin. And I wish to share the screen for 2-3 slides. Brothers, please help me with that as well. 1 second. Yeah, hope you're able to see the screen. Okay. So basically, I was introduced. That was a heavy introduction. Um, well, something had to be told about every speaker. Well, brothers have been kind enough to put together some past history, etc. But then there's nothing great in the history. It was all about his story, right? So the his story is the most powerful thing, and Swamy is the only leader worthy to be spoken about and discussed about. So here I begin, and this is it reminds me of a very beautiful beginning with Swamy, way ahead, way behind when I was like 17, 18 years old. You know, Bhagwan very lovingly called us all young kids from Hyderabad. And the first interview, Bhagwan says, I was sitting right behind. And then Swamy says, "You came very, very late to me. Your life has got wasted. You came very, very late." I was 19 years old when Bhagwan said this. And just imagine, brothers and sisters, my plight. Swamy says, "You're very late." When I came to him when I was 19 years, and then it really gave me such a shock, a rude shock, I would call it, because I didn't know whom to tell this, because I was feeling that I had the privilege of sitting at his divine lotus feet, and I was rejoicing those moments. And then Swamy says, "See, you came very late. Your life got wasted." And it was such a shocker to me. And then eventually, I realized why Bhagwan has set me up for this. Since he said that, I came back to Hyderabad. I went into the introspection mode. I realized, am I fizzling out anything? Am I going the wrong way? No, it gave me that opportunity to introspect when I was very young, and then it gave me the determination to pursue Swamy with greater intensity, greater vigor. And then eventually it gave me a great opportunity to be part of his glory for several years. So he gave me the initial shock, and then later on handheld me through the process, and then took care of me for several long years. It was a beautiful experience. And then I remember in the same interview, Swamy said, he was narrating in Telugu. He said, people put plants, and then around the plant they put the fence so that the goats and cows, they don't eat the plants. They put the fence outside. And here Swamy tells me, Srinivas, you did the other way. You put the plant outside and you put the fence inside. And this was another shocker to me. What is this Swamy was trying to tell about? And then I came back to my parents. I discussed with them, what did Bhagwan mean by all this? And then Swamy says, my parents tell me, see, white dress is something that you don't wear only on the outside. It has to be on the inside. This is what my father told me. So transformation is something that you cannot wear just on the sleeve. You got to embrace it and make it part of your life. So what was Bhagwan's intent of narrating this experience is, the plant should be inside, which is the plant is a sapling, the beautiful growing sapling should be inside, and then you should fence it outside so that you protect your inner character and inner qualities, so that you have a great life and a long life ahead. So if you do it the other way, by putting the plant outside, you always run the risk of animals coming and eating. You become prey to someone else. It's important to protect yourself. Work on your character, work on your transformation, and then make it a fruitful journey. So what a beautiful way of Swamy gives these small tidbits of wisdom and conveys a profound truth, isn't it? So, in fact, youngsters have always been very dear to Swamy. All of us know that Bhagwan has spent so many years, so many decades spending with students. He spent most of his time with youth. Whenever he sees youngsters, his eyes lit up. That's the Swami we always know about. His eyes lit up, and he always asks how many have come. When are you going? What are you studying? Who are your parents? All kinds of things. What are your qualifications? Everything Bhagwan was curious about when he sees a young team. This was part and parcel of several youth stories in India, so from across the country. So youth have always been very dear to Swami, and we all know that. And then the youth stage is very dangerous. Bhagwan once, I remember in a speech, he was addressing us in a state youth conference in '95, and Bhagwan said, "Youth stage is a very, very dangerous stage. If you go the right path, you have a great life ahead. If you make a minor deviation when you are young, when you are youth, there is a great chance that you fall in some danger. So it's important that you walk the path, right path, keep yourself very disciplined, and focus your energies on the right goals and right aspects of life. Otherwise, youth can easily slip away and fall into some danger. So that's why it's important that youngsters tighten up their intent, tighten up the spirit, and then walk the right path. It's very important. It's important to decide today. See, several interviews. I know of so many youth who have had so many beautiful interview opportunities, and today they are not even visible in the Sai framework. Maybe they are continuing their love for Swami from home, but then unfortunately you don't see them. They're probably possibly in several parts of the world, and they have no way of connecting to the Sai mission and doing his work because of their respective domestic challenges, or it could be anything. So it's important that we decide today and walk the right path, and with a lot of determination and conviction. It's very easy to spoil one's life, and it's difficult to walk in the right path. A lot of youth feel. I've had the privilege of working with hundreds of youth across all parts of India, especially Mumbai. I've had the privilege of talking to Mumbai youth, Chennai boys, and also I knew all the generations of youth in various metro cities, and fantastic teams, lovely brothers. They had so much of love for Swami, and but it's so important to stay connected, keep that deep connection with Swami, and then walk the path that is defined by Bhagwan to all of us. So one important concept based on Bhagwan's teachings, we used to discuss this in several youth forums. I would like to share the screen with you. Swami's famous question always to youth teams is, what is life of happiness? What is life of happiness? If you see this slide, hope you all can see the slide here. What is life of happiness is, a lot of people feel that happiness is, getting a job, getting married, having children, buying a home, buying a nice car. These are all happy things for anybody, right? But then what are the challenges in the way? The challenges are, one could lose a job, one could have health issues, one could have wealth loss. It could be anything. So this curve, I am showing you with the pointer, this curve, this up and down curve is various ups and downs that each one of us face in our day-to-day life. Each one of us face this. So especially when you are between 18 to 35, our priorities, 18 to 35 years of age, our priorities are always focused on education, job, and getting a family together and all that. So this is the typical priority. And this is the time normally many youth, they get into overindulgence. Overindulgence in food, overindulgence in money, overindulgence in work, overindulgence in the worldly matters, basically. So what Swami used to say is, when you are being overindulgent here in the early part of your life, the later part of your life, you see below here, too much of abuse of body, abuse of mind, abuse of resources will lead to disease. Here, the second stage, the second part of life, people see what a lot of youth think that, even if I don't sleep, my body is able to work hard. Even if I eat heavily also, it doesn't really show me any disease. It doesn't reflect in any disease when I'm young. So they think that my body is able to take all this. So I don't experience any disease. I can take any amount of stress. This is not true. This is what Swamy was trying to tell us. He said, when you indulge in the early stage of life, you are bound to suffer disease in the later stage of life. Okay, what happens when you are hit with a disease? I know a few friends who got severe fatal diseases, like kidney damage, etc. Like in the early stage, like 30, 35, 40 years. So what happens when the disease strikes? The first thing that happens is one will lose confidence. One will lose determination to pursue the larger goals of life. One will lose that focus, and also they also get this fear that will I be able to manage all my domestic responsibilities till the end. These things really give a lot of anxiety to people who are suffering with early diseases. So it's important. So what Swamy was trying to tell with this curve is, this curve was created by me using Bhagwan's learnings. But then, the important part is, what Bhagwan was trying to say is that life full of happiness means starting from your early age, 18 to 35, till you are 80 years of age. After you retire at 60 years, there is still another 20, 25 years of age left. So what does life of happiness mean? Life of happiness is happiness all the way till the end, not 30, 40 years of overindulgence in the early stage of life and 30, 40 years of disease in the later stage of life. This is the concept, brothers and sisters. So please remember that it's important to have a balanced life. If you overindulge here, one might suffer with disease. So that's why Swamy said, have a balance. Don't overindulge in food. Don't too much overindulge in sleep. Don't overindulge in all kinds of worldly attachments, and then keep a balanced life in the early stage, so that you can avoid disease here, and then you can have a happy life till the end, till the 80 years. So this is the life happiness. We call it the happiness curve, and we keep discussing this in the youth forums and all that. So it's so important to have a balanced living as per Bhagwan, and have a life full of happiness, but not half life of happiness and overindulgence and half life of disease. It's very important. So please, let's understand this concept clearly and move forward with greater gusto. This is a beautiful, nice stories. I'm sharing some humorous stories. This particular, there is a. Can I, brothers? I'll stop sharing the screen now, but I can go ahead with the stories. So here is a story where we were very fond of singing. We had a beautiful team in Hyderabad, which is musically talented, and we used to feel, if we get an opportunity, let's sing some Telugu songs. Swamy used to like Telugu songs, and he would ask us to sing. Hey, who have you composed any new songs? Why don't you sing it for me? So we had beautiful dholak players, excellent harmonium players, beautiful singers. So we used to grab every opportunity to perform for Bhagwan, right? So in one such trip, so we kind of practiced 2-3 songs, and then we eventually went to Prashanthi, and Swamy said, "Hey, so I'll call you tomorrow. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow." And then we said, "Swamy, we'd like to sing for you." Okay, and then we practiced only 3 songs. Only 3 songs we had, and we didn't practice an entire musical program, because since Swamy said he'll call us for an interview, in the interview you cannot sing more than 1 or 2 songs. So we practiced only 3 songs, and then it so happened, it's very funny actually. So we kind of asked Bhagwan. Bhagwan said, "No, not now, not in the interview. I'll tell you." And then in the evening, the Kulwant Hall was getting that gold foil was being put on the roof. Those days, and Bhagwan's darshan was in Purnachandra for a few months, and then we received a message from Chiranjeevi sir that Hyderabad boys are expected to sit in one place. So we all ran, and we figured out. I believe Bhagwan came downstairs in hot sun, and in the Purnachandra, Swamy walked that place where we are supposed to sit, and then Chiranjeevi sir was telling, "So here you boys are asked to sit by Swamy. He just came down all the way. Look at the love Bhagwan has." And then he made us sit in a proper place. And then, And Swamy told us in the morning darshan, which was beautiful. Swamy said in Purnachandra, in the background, Swamy has a background, right? That blue color background in behind Bhagwan. So that background, Swamy said, there is a nice small shutter in that background. So what I will do is I'll enter from the shutter. When I come for darshan in the evening, I'll enter from the shutter. The moment that shutter enters and you can see me from the shutter, you start singing. Then Swami Bhagwan set us up for this program. You start singing, he said. Then we were all like seated, the harmonium and all that, and Bhagwan, the darshan music started. The shutter opened slowly, and Bhagwan was visible from the backdrop. And then, lo and behold, since Swami told us to start, the moment we see him, we said, "Oh," we started. And then Swami said, "Shh, stop, 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 stop." It was such a incident that all the devotees were looking at us in a weird way because we kind of did something wrong. So Bhagwan told us something, and we possibly have not understood him well. So it was such a public disgrace. We didn't know how to even look at devotees, like we were hiding our faces. Something went wrong, and Swami was not happy. And then eventually, Swami stopped us from the stage. Stop, stop, stop! Don't sing. And then he goes to the devotees in the front, in the Purna Chandra, and then slowly Bhagwan came to our side. And then he said, don't think otherwise. I stopped you people when you are singing because the students, my boys, have not come for darshan. So what I will do now is I'll again go inside. I'll again come for darshan. I'll again come from the shutter. You again sing. This is what Bhagwan said. Oh my goodness! See, Bhagwan is like he's a child amongst children. A woman amongst women. We all know this. So he's very playful. He's like a child. He enjoys his life. He enjoys those moments with devotees. And then he was very, very playful. And then again, the second setup was again we were like waiting. So Swami went inside. Students have all come. We were seeing they were all coming from darshan, from school and college, and they were sitting. And then we were expecting Bhagwan to come out. So Swami again, before the darshan music again started, and then there was a huge announcement from Anil Kumar, which we didn't expect. We thought we will just sing 2-3 songs in the interview room, and we didn't expect a big public program amidst devotees, which was a shocker to us. We didn't have too many music instruments as well. Had we known this, we would have prepared better, from the Shivam group and all. So Swami suddenly made Anil Kumar sir announce, Hyderabad boys are going to sing for the devotees today. It was a huge announcement. It was very, very, we had only 3 songs, by the way. Like I told you, we had only 3 songs. We didn't have enough ammunition to survive the program actually. So then Swami comes onto in the Simhasan, and then he turns to us and he says, start. So, and we started the program. And then, we started the moment Bhagwan appears out of the shutter. And then Swami comes and sits in the throne. And then first song is over. The second song is over. The third song is over. And we were like sweating. We had no other song to sing. And Swami was enjoying. And we didn't know what to do. And then we silently, after the third song, we just put like this and we just waited for Bhagwan to look at us. And from the throne, Swami looked at us like, over. Then we said, Swami, yes, it's over, Swami. Then he says, luckily, Bhagwan comes to our rescue. And he says, he ushers to the students, the boys, you sing bhajan, you start the bhajan. So that's how bhajan started. Oh my God, we were wiping the sweat, we were so tensed up. But it's a funny thing, but with Bhagwan, every second is, these are testing moments. You got to be cool, composed, do what Bhagwan tells you, and then just go ahead with the task. So don't get carried away. And another beautiful incident that I remembered actually when I was thinking about what to speak in the morning, I remember about this wonderful devotee from Singapore. I love to state the name, but maybe I should seek their permission. But without telling the name, I'll talk about this beautiful devotee. So in one interview in Vrindavan, Swami was talking to this lady, a very tall lady, does phenomenal work in Singapore, has started Sathya Sai school in Singapore, she does fabulous work, Swamy's work in Singapore. So I had the privilege of being part of the same interview. And then Swamy was telling her that, you're such a old devotee, but you tend to waste a lot of money. Swamy was pulling her leg. You waste a lot of money. बहुत पैसा खर्च करता है. In Hindi, Swamy said. And then this lady, she was silently listening, and suddenly she said, Swamy, if my money has any meaning, it is to reach your lotus feet. And if I reach your lotus feet, that's enough for me. My money has no other meaning, And then Swamy told us what she was, where she was wasting the money. And then she kind of, I believe, Bhagwan was saying, every weekend from Singapore all the way, she travels and comes to Vrindavan or Prashanthi, wherever Bhagwan is. And every week she used to travel for Friday evening. Monday to Friday, she takes care of the school work. And then Saturday, Sunday, she is with Bhagwan and she goes back. She has no family. She's a spinster. And, she just dedicated her life to Bhagwan's work. And then Swamy was saying, no, both, you're wasting so much of money for travel. Every week you come here, it's not needed. I'm in your heart. You you have my darshan in your heart, and all that Swamy was saying. And then eventually, this lady, she was a very, very great devotee. And then Swamy suddenly created, she had some gastritis issue, and then Swamy created a few tablets in front of us. And he properly packed it, and like a doctor, Swamy gave her the dosage. So tomorrow morning, kal subah mein ek, kal sham mein ek, parsu subah mein ek, parsu sham mein ek. Swamy was telling the tablet dosage to her, and then gastritis khatam, like that. Swamy beautifully, gave this Singapore devotee the blessing. So the reason why I was sharing this is Swamy was kind of admonishing her not to spend too much money. Even while she was coming for Bhagwan's darshan every week, Swamy says, don't spend that kind of money. Use it for something more useful. And this another beautiful instance happened in Purnachandra. It was a Dashara celebration, and we were in Sevadal duty. And then the Purnahuti was happening the final day. And then we were in Sevadal duty, and there used to be one Sardarji uncle who used to be the Sevadal in charge in the Kulwant Hall. So he was a wonderful devotee. And then in the PC Purnachandra, Purnahuti is completed, all the devotees were going out. And then we were like, all Sevadal, we were pulling down the shutters to make sure that Purnachandra is properly cleaned up and ready for the next occasion. And then suddenly, this Sardarji uncle came to us and he said, see, Sairam, maintain silence. Bhagwan is right behind the curtain in Purnachandra, right behind the background. And then slowly he told us. So then we were all excited, Swamy might come out and talk to Sevadal like that. So all the devotees have left the place, and we were about 100 Sevadal in the Purnachandra. So slowly we moved to the Purnachandra dais, and then Bhagwan comes out in a beautiful yellow robe. Swamy came out, and then he was talking to all the Sevadal. He said, where are you from? And every devotee was saying, Swamy, I belong to Shimla, I belong to Bombay, I belong to Kerala, all kinds of places from across India. And Swamy was saying, see, you come, Kerala, and they were inviting Bhagwan. All the people were saying, Swamy, I'm from, in Andhra, there are several districts, Sevadal were saying, Swamy, I'm from Bhimavaram. Beautiful village. You should come to our village, Swamy. So everyone is saying you should come to Bombay. Swamy, you should come to Delhi. All kinds of invitations. They were calling Swamy to all places. And Swamy said, yeah, I came to Delhi several times. I came to Bombay. I came to your village also. There is a big tank. This kind of connect, the kind of connect that Bhagwan had with Sevadal, phenomenal, brothers and sisters. And then eventually he was going one after the other. And here there was one devotee from Shimla. Shyam Sundar uncle, he became a state president. He was a Sevadal member at that time. And then Shyam Sundar sir said, Swamy, you should come to Shimla. In Shimla, beautiful, that land is all ready. We have beautifully leveled it, Swamy, and construction activity is going to start. Swamy, you should come to Shimla. The devotees of Shimla are praying for your darshan. And then Swamy says, Shimla, acha, kitna jagah hai, kitna zameen hai wahan par. In Hindi, Swami asked, how much of land we have? And so he said something like 5 acres. Then, स्वामी 5 एकड़ का जमीन है, पूरा रेडी है बाबा, आप दर्शन के लिए आइए, डिवोटीज आपका दर्शन के लिए प्रार्थना कर रहे हैं. This is what he narrated to Swami in Hindi. And Swami says, मेरा जमीन वो 5 एकड़ का जमीन नहीं है, ये 5 इंच का दिल है. It's not, my land is not the 5 acres of land, but my land is the 5 inches of your heart, the dil, the heart. This is what Bhagwan said. So, Swami has his own ways of, connecting to the devotees. And such powerful, all of us, we were floored by what Bhagwan said. He said that 5-inch heart is my place and not the 5-acre zameen, 5-acre land, right? So now, brothers and sisters, I move on to some powerful stories. And these stories are really very, very transformational by nature. So I request each one of you to pay a lot of attention, because each one of these stories was narrated to us by Bhagwan himself. So we were at his lotus feet when we learned these stories, and very, very powerful. These stories are, the reason why I'm sharing these anecdotal stories is they're very sticky in the head. You cannot forget. If I tell you some try concept, it's possible that after a few months or something, we all of us can forget. So these stories, the moment you remember the story, you remember the profound message of Bhagwan. So that's why I'm sharing those stories. So this particular story was narrated to us by Swami in an interview again. And beautifully, Swami said, we call it the cow story. It's very famous. In fact, several youth in Andhra will know this story. And it's so effective and powerful. So we were sitting at Bhagwan's lotus feet, and Swami was narrating this story. And then there was this calf, there's a calf that was stuck in wet soil. The calf got into wet mud, and it was struggling to come out. The calf was struggling to come out, and it is pulling out one leg, and the other leg is getting stuck. And then the calf is struggling to come out. There were few children who were watching this scene and enjoying, as to see, they were seeing how this calf will come out. They were like watching this, and then eventually, it is struggling, and the children were watching, and suddenly a temple priest going by the same street watches the plight of the calf. So quickly he takes off his shirt, and he gets into the wet mud, and he takes the calf on his shoulders, and then he brings the calf out. And Swami was telling us this story. And then this calf comes out, and these children, they go and argue with this priest. What, sir, you did all, we were watching how the calf would come out. You spoiled the thing. Are you God or what? They ridicule the priest. And then what this priest says in reply is a very, very powerful statement. The priest says, see, I am neither God nor a demon. The calf was struggling there. Calf was going through some agony. The moment I looked at the calf, that agonized me. Calf, it was not, I did this act not to put away the agony of the calf. I was feeling agonized. I felt agony when I looked at the calf. So he says, not to put aside the agony of the calf, I have done this act. I have done this act to put aside my agony, not to put aside the calf's agony. And it was so powerful, which means that, and I was sitting at Swami's lotus feet, and I just shut my eyes and said, oh my God, this is so powerful. I was thinking. And then Swami looked into my eyes and he says, Srinivas, just by listening, you feel it is so powerful. Just experience it. It is so transformational. And then the beautiful story. What is the moral of this story? If you delve deeper, we all do seva. We all do several activities, several projects, helping humanity, helping communities. But what Swami says is, don't do it with an intent to put aside someone else's agony. If you put aside, if you think that you're putting aside someone else's agony, then there is a chance that your ego goes up. You feel that I am the provider and someone else is the receiver. And then Swami was saying, don't ever do that. When you have built compassion in your heart, build love in your heart, and then to take care of, experience that agony, experience that suffering yourself, and to put aside your agony and suffering, you render seva, but not to put aside someone else's agony. What a powerful story, isn't it? So this story actually brought a paradigm shift in our very thinking of how we should render seva of Bhagwan's in Bhagwan's mission. It is very important to understand these fundamentals. And the moment we feel that we are helping someone else, and there's a bright chance that our ego shoots up, or there's a bright chance that we get into something like a pomp and show. It's important that we are very careful about this, so that all our work will becomes worship, and all our work belongs to Him. And to put aside our agony, let's do seva, not to put aside someone else's agony. It's very, very important. And then I hope you remember this story, brothers and sisters. And then one beautiful experience I remembered. Swamy was talking about scientific spirituality one day. A lot of youth, they love science, right? And many youth might think that the spirituality, there's not much of science in spirituality. Science, where science ends, spirituality begins, it is said, right? But then it's the other way. Swamy taught us spirituality through scientific examples. I am going to narrate few scientific examples that really bring out deep, profound spirituality, right? So Swamy was in one particular interaction, Bhagwan was talking about the 5 elements. He asked us what are the 5 elements, and then we said, Swamy, earth, water, fire, earth, water. Oh, sorry, there's a power outage here near me, but then you'll still be able to hear me, I guess. 1 second, I'm putting the light on. Yeah, so basically, it will come back. It will come back in few minutes. So, this Swamy asked about these 5 elements, and the earth, water, fire, air, and sky. We were discussing about these 5 elements, and then suddenly Swamy said, "There's so much to learn from these 5 elements." And then he said, Earth exists like a big mass. Earth exists like a big mass because it has got all the 5 senses, he said. What are the 5 senses? Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. Shabda is the sound. Sparsha is the touch. Rupa, the appearance. Rasa is the taste. And Gandha is the smell. Right? So Swamy said, Earth exists as a big mass because it has got all the 5 senses. Right? And then Swamy said, the next one is, what is the next element? Earth, water. The next element is water. In water, it has 1 sense less, he said. It has Shabda, it has Sparsha, you can touch the water. It has Gandha, it has appearance. Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. It has Rupa, it has appearance. It has got Rasa, the smell. It has got no taste, tasteless. So that's why it is 1 sense less, and that's why it flows. Earth exists like a big mass. Water has 1 sense less, and that's why it flows. And then Swamy was talking about air, the next element. Earth, water, air. So Swamy, in the air, he says there is 1 more sense less. That's why it is pervasive and it is expansive. So Swamy said it has got Shabda, it has got Sparsha, it has got no Rupam. You cannot see air, right? You cannot taste air, right? It has got Gandha, you can smell it. There is 1 more sense less than water. That's why it is even more lighter and it is more expansive. And then Swamy was talking about earth, water. Sorry, I missed the fire in between. Earth, water, fire. Fire has 1 element lesser than water. He said, fire goes higher in the air. It has that heat. You can see it also. So it has got 1 sense lesser than water. That's why fire goes higher than water. And then Swamy was talking about air after fire. Air has got even 1 more sense lesser than fire. It has got no appearance also. You cannot see air. So that's why it is all pervasive. It is larger and it is higher. And then Swamy was talking about sky as the last element. The sky has got only Shabda. It has got no Rupa, no Rasa, no Gandha, right? no sparsha. So that's why it is very, very pervasive. Sky is super pervasive. And then he said, God is above all senses. That's why he is the most pervasive. He said, God is everywhere. So what a brilliant scientific explanation of elements around us, brothers and sisters. It is very important to remember that these elements teach us a lot. Yeah. So, and then I will now narrate. Yeah, hope you can hear me. Please excuse me. There is darkness here. Unfortunately, there's a power outage, but my system and camera are working. So I'll continue with the discussion. And then one particular interview, this is a very famous interaction. I remember we keep talking about this story to several youth. It is so very powerful, and I'm going to talk about it. So Swamy suddenly asked us in one particular interview that he asked why God gave shutters to eyes and mouth and not to the nose and ears. Nose doesn't have shutters, ears don't have shutters. Only the eyes and mouth have shutters. Why? Swamy asked us, and it was like we were spellbound. We didn't know what to even reply. So none of us even think these messages that our body itself gives. So we said, Swamy, we are not aware of this. We have never heard about this. And then Swamy said, see, if you if you smell something bad, so Swamy said, the inner damage that it can do to your personality is very, very less, Swamy said. So if you smell something bad, the damage that it does inside is very, very little. So that's why you don't have to, that's why God didn't give shutters to the nose. There was no necessity. It is not a powerful sense. And then Swamy was talking about ears. Ears, he said, also, if you listen to something bad, someone is telling some bad tales or bad stories, after a few months, the power is back. So after 2 months, you even tend to forget what you heard through the ears, And then, so Swamy said, that's why God felt there was no necessity for shutters even to the ears. And then now Bhagwan talks about the eyes, brother, very important. So he said, if you see something bad, something wrong is happening and you see something bad, and it is going to bother you for lifetime. Those images, the moment you think of that experience, it is possible, those images will come in front of your mind, and they will bother you for the rest of your life. So it's very important that, but the outer environment is not controlled by us. So the moment you're on the road, right? So you cannot control what's happening on the road. So if something bad is eventually happening there, so Swamy said, God felt there was a necessity to give shutters so that you can shut your eyes and don't allow those bad images to enter you. That's why God gave shutters to the eyes. So don't see anything bad. Don't allow bad to come inside you. Those images. And then Swamy spoke about the mouth, which is very powerful. Swamy said, every sense has got only one task. Nose can only smell, ears can only hear, eyes can only see, but mouth can do 2 tasks. That's why it is doubly dangerous. He said. It can taste, it can also talk. So in Telugu there is a proverb. It is said, "Noru manchidaina, uru manchidavanu," which means people with loving, sweet words have the entire village as friends, right? So Swamy said, don't talk behind somebody or don't abuse somebody, curse somebody. I mean, usage of tongue Swamy was talking about. It is so easily said, but to practice it's so difficult. And then Swamy was saying, Shalya, he was talking about Shalya. Shalya, the Saradi of Arjuna. Swamy said, this guy abuses his words and demoralizes the greatest warrior of Mahabharata. Eventually, it's possible that he is one of the reasons for, Karna's death, right, Shalya. So, usage of words, you should use motivational words. So, Swamy said, you learn Krishna Saradyam, not Shalya Saradyam. Krishna Saradyam is Krishna, lead like Krishna and don't lead like Shalya. Shalya always criticized. He demoralized the other person. Whereas Krishna, when Arjuna was not ready to fight, What did Krishna do? He says, come on, fight. I'll take care of the karmic consequences. So come on, fight. I am there. Like that. So the positive leadership. That's what Swamy was talking about. And then Swamy said, tongue has a amazing power of creating some maya. The maya is, eyes can see what is visible, ears can listen what is around the ears, right? But tongue has this amazing power of, speaking truth as untruth and untruth as truth. This is the only sense that has that power of painting something wrong other than the reality. No other sense has that power. So Swami said the maya can be created by tongue. It's something which is true, you can speak as untruth, and something that is untrue, you can be spoken as true. That is the power this sense has. So that's why we have to be careful with the tongue, Swami said. And then he said the maya dances on the tongue of man like a nartaki. He said, on the tongue of man, maya dances like a nartaki. Nartaki is their answer. And Swami said, if you want to take control on this maya, this nartaki, in reverse nartaki, reverse kirtana, he said. So if you do kirtana, this maya gets controlled. You can take control of this maya. So do kirtana of God. So what a powerful story, isn't it? So this story was so transformational. It is so important to have, build up sense control from young age. Senses that have been all over, in an undisciplined, people who indulge into all kinds of things. Suddenly, at 60 years, you cannot bring sense control into your life. It is very difficult to bring back senses and bring control onto it. So Swami was saying, right from the young age itself, you should have bring in this discipline and have great control on your senses. So beautiful story, communicating about sense control. And then the next story that I'm going to talk about is, once we asked Bhagwan, that ego is a very powerful impediment for us to pursue Swami's life, Swami's message. It is very important that all of us are very excited and very keen to follow Bhagwan, implement what Bhagwan says. But then somewhere ego becomes a stumbling block. Somewhere ego becomes the difference between a good devotee and a bad devotee. It happens. We see several people. Then in an interview, we had an opportunity to ask Swami about this ego, and then two very powerful stories Swami spoke about. Swami said, ego is very easy. What is ego? He said, Swami, the I feeling. Then there are two I's. One is I for India, and second is EYEI, inner I, he said. Then we said, Swami, tell us some practical solution to take control over our ego. And then Swami said, it is very easy to control ego. So he said, it's a very practical tool, practical tip that Bhagwan gave brothers and sisters, which is very, very powerful. And then Swami said, this universe is so big. In the universe, Earth is this much. On Earth, India is this much. In India, Andhra is this much. In Andhra Pradesh, Hyderabad is this much. In Hyderabad, your house is this much. In your house, you are this much. So Swami said, whenever you feel that you have done something great, suppose you get a gold medal, okay, what is it to the next neighbor? It has no value to your neighbor only. Suppose you get a big lottery, a lot of money you earned, but it doesn't add any value to our neighbors, even to the person on the street, right? So what is so big about any of these worldly accomplishments? This is what Swami said. So whenever you feel that your ego has descended upon you, and then Swami said, you just remember this. What is your contribution to the macro cosmos? What is your stature? Your stature is like a dust particle. See the universe, in the Earth is this much, India is this much, AP is this much, Hyderabad is this. What are we? We're just a dust particle, in this huge cosmos. And when you remember your stature in the humongous universe, then there's no chance that you get ego, right? And Swami so casually says, I mean, how can man get ego? For what? I mean, Swami literally, he casually states it, but then we feel so carried away by the ego. and then we feel so we feel that the most difficult part to take control of in our life is ego. But then Swami says, why ego? I mean, there's no way a man can get ego. For what? It's so easy for Bhagwan, but then we find it so difficult to take control. So remember, brothers, our stature in the cosmos is very small, and then there's no way that the ego can descend as per Bhagwan. So let us try to put into practice and take control of our ego. And then we asked Bhagwan once in the same interview, I remember, that how to do karma without how to do nishkama karma, doing karma without any expectation. And today is the time for investment return, IRR. Every job has IRR situations, you invest something and you calculate the return. This is a part and parcel of everyone's life. But then Swami says, what return you are talking about, and then Swami suddenly asked us, what is Newton's third law? And then we said, Bhagwan, it is every action has got a reaction. See, this is again scientific spirituality, brothers and sisters. So Swami was talking about Newton's third law, and he was talking about Nishkam karma. Okay, so and then he said, we said, Swami, every action has got a reaction. Then Swami said, no, equal and opposite. And then Swami went about explaining, debriefing the story to us. He said, you take a ball and throw it to the wall. Throw it to the wall, and the ball comes back. You throw it faster, the ball comes back faster. Throw it slower, ball comes back slower. So good action, good reaction. Bad action, bad reaction. And then we were like perplexed. We were like looking at Bhagwan. I mean, he was telling a very powerful, profound truth with a beautiful small example. And then this ball comes back. And then Swami said, when you throw the ball to the wall, are you expecting the ball to come back? You're not expecting, right? So when you throw the ball to the wall naturally comes back. Because the ball is hit to the wall, the ball comes back naturally. That's why you don't expect. So Swami said it is exactly the same with your karmas as well. When you do a good action, good result comes back, just like the way the ball has rebounded from the wall. If you do a bad action, even that consequence also, it rebounds back, and you have to take that consequence as well. So Swami said, there's no need of expectation. If you throw the ball, just like the way you're not expecting the ball to come back, you just throw the ball and leave it. So the ball is bound to come back because it is supposed to come back. But Bhagwan said, you have to take care of one important thing here. He said, you have to make sure, you have to think that are you doing good action or bad action? Is it a good throw or a bad throw? If you're doing a bad throw, right, don't expect a great result. If you're doing a good throw, right, good action, then you expect a good reaction. Then what Bhagwan's intent here is that you do actions and just leave it. Don't pray for the result. Don't expect the results. Just do good action, and forget about the results. Because every good action is supposed to reap a great result, and every bad action will give you a consequence compulsorily, whether you expect or not. So Swami said, you just do good, avoid bad for years together, and that's it. Yeah. Then this Newton's third law beautifully explains how to do nishkam karma. Yeah, and very powerful messages, brothers and sisters. And these stories are very transformational, very practical, and very profound. And these stories have transformed thousands of youth in our state. And then now I get reminded of a very important concept called sealing on desires. Especially in today's times, COVID times, all of us are going through a lot of stress, a lot of job changes or job situations, financial situations, family situations. So I felt it is very pertinent to talk just a few minutes on the sealing on desires. It's very important. So four important pillars of sealing on desires as per Bhagwan is food. Don't waste food, don't waste money, don't waste energy, and don't waste time. These four things Bhagwan always used to narrate. And he used to mention that they're very important to take care of. And if you let's talk a little bit about food. And Swami said, what you drink and what you eat are very important to know that the quality of the food and water that you consume have to be very, very good. The quality has to be good. So he said, if you the three things should be, the Swami, when he talks about food, he talks about three shuddhis. The paka shuddhi, padartha shuddhi, patra shuddhi. Patra shuddhi is the vessel that you cook food in should be clean and not uncontaminated. And then the water, what else should be clean? The ingredients, the padartha shuddhi. It's very important that the padartham inside the vessel also has to be clean. Not just that. The third thing is the paka shuddhi. The cook, when he's cooking the food, also needs to cook with the right thoughts. And you cannot have cooking the food with contaminated thoughts. So that will create wrong thoughts to people who consume the food. So Swami said these three are very important to maintain in everyone's home. So think about God, think about nice things, and then cook food with prayers and positive vibes, so that the entire family enjoys good health with the food that they consume. And then even the water. And the water, the 70-80% of the body is constituted by water. So if we drink contaminated water, it is bound to have bad results as regards to health, right? So it's important to have clean water, right? And then Swami spoke about the money. I'm quickly covering it so that just to remind each one of us about the fundamentals that Swami spoke about. So Swami spoke about the money, right? So when, let's say, we go to a Raymond showroom and we feel like buying some nice clothes. The moment you look at the beautiful suit, you feel like buying it. But then Swami said, don't buy. Don't buy straight away. So ask yourself two questions. Before buying, do I really need this? We don't buy. See, first we have to figure out whether it is a want or a need. Wants can be many. Each one of us wants to buy the biggest car or possibly buy the biggest home. It's possible. But then Swami said, first figure out whether it is a want or a need. If it is a need, then deal it differently. If it is a want, you can cut down the wants. It's easy. So first figure out what is want, what is need. It's a great, it will be a good exercise for Balvika's gurus also, to train Balvika's children on listing out what are the wants and what are the needs. So for instance, you might need a computer, but you may not need a iPad or a iBook, etc. I don't know. So you may need a mobile phone, but you may not need an iPhone. The same phone appears in one list as a need and the other list as a want. You might want a car, but you don't need a BMW, right? So it's like that. So it's important to make need-want list for each one of us, and then what you want as needs, you can go ahead and buy. Even when buying, Swami said, ask yourself two questions. Do I really, really need this? Am I desperate for it? Okay. And the second question, even if you feel that it is a need, then he still said, don't buy just yet. He said, you ask the next question. The next question is, can I survive without this? That's the second question. So even if you feel that it's a need, don't buy. And he says, can I survive without this? Then he says, if you still feel it's a very genuine need, then you go ahead and buy. So this is what Swami spoke about, for money, right? And then he spoke about energy waste. Don't waste energy, and several. In fact, energy waste. In fact, the Shutter's story to eyes and mouth that I just shared falls into this category, that you cannot waste energy through your eyes or through your you cannot waste through your senses. And then Swami said, time waste is also life waste. Very, very famous. Bhagwan never used to waste even a single minute. He entire life he spent on humanitarian upliftment. So those are the messages that we have to draw from Bhagwan's message. So very powerful, brothers and sisters. So I hope I am able to make sense and communicate. It's very difficult to narrate Bhagwan's messages in the true intent and spirit, because Bhagwan is so eloquent and so powerful when he communicates. But we cannot do justice with his message. His message should be heard from him only. This is my genuine feeling. So we all of us devotees, we keep sharing these stories, discussing this, so that it evokes certain great feeling and that connect with Swami, and that's why we keep discussing these stories. So, and then since I am focusing more on what youth needs, youth needs a balanced life. We spoke about a balanced life. We spoke about don't overindulge when you're young, and so that diseases surface at a later stage of life. And then we spoke about some beautiful personal sadhana stories like sense control, how to take control of ego, how to do nishkam karma. Beautiful stories we discussed about, and then Swamy was very concerned about, especially when he talks to youth, he was very concerned about friends. He always used to ask how many friends you have, what kind of friends, so how do you pick your friends? These kinds of questions he used to ask. And then, in fact, many youth, I had this opportunity to work with several youth. I see this famous, this lifestyle, of youth today. They maintain two circles. Youth are very smart. They're very capable. They're very qualified. They are very innovative as well. They bring some innovative thinking. So generally, they maintain one good Sai circle. They come to the Sai center. They enjoy the bhajans. They enjoy doing seva. All that is there. They also maintain another circle, which is the office friends or school friends, whatever. They maintain another circle, and there they indulge in movies or partying, etc. So it's very important that youth should choose one circle and then just stick to that, and follow Bhagwan. See, if you if you choose the world, you move away from God. Swamy used to say, if you choose God, you have to move away from the world. It's very important. So that's why you make conscious choices on which direction to go. And it's very important to choose right friends. You don't need 100 friends. You need 2 genuine ones for life. That's more than enough. So a beautiful story that many devotees would know this, but at the cost of repetition, I will still narrate this. Swamy was going to Kodaikanal one day along with students, and students' bus was following Swamy's car in the front, and suddenly Bhagwan felt that Swamy feels like getting into the bus of the students. It's a very famous experience. A lot of us know, but then many youth may not know this. That's why I'm narrating this. So Swamy gets off his car, which is going in the front, and then he gets into the students' bus, which is following Bhagwan's car. So both the vehicles are going to Kodaikanal en route. So then from the bus, Swamy is seeing the car that is going in the front, and then devotees thinking that Bhagwan is reaching Kodaikanal have standed on both sides of the road. Apparently the devotees were offering pranams to Swamy's car, and it was an empty Swamy's car. Swamy was not sitting in the car, but the car was getting a lot of namaskars because it was Swamy's car. And then Swamy was telling this to the students. See, I did Dussang with you. See, I did bad company with you guys, and then I lost all my namaskars. Swamy tells, I lost all my namaskars. See, my car is receiving namaskars, and I am losing all my namaskars. And then and then Swamy says, see, my car did satsang with me. That's why my car is getting namaskars, whether I am there or not. And I have done dussang with you. That's why I lost all my namaskars with the students. So, and see, it's so important for us to make the right friends. Have the right company. Show me your friends, I shall tell what you are. Bhagwan used to say, right? So it's important to have a great company, great people around us, people who give positive vibes, people who inspire us, tell us truth, and give us positive inspiration. So good friends make a world of difference, isn't it? So, and Swamy in Telugu used to say, Paina anta hello hello, lopal anta hollow hollow. Paina hello hello. So they say hello hello, hi hi, and then inside is all hollow hollow. Those are not the right friends. Swamy used to say. And then when there is a necessity for money or they have any need, friends are very warm, friends are very courteous. Swamy used to say. But then when there is no necessity from you and their needs are gratified, Swamy used to say, those friends leave you. So, and Swamy used to say, I am your only true friend. And in fact, I remember he used to say, I remember one particular day. Suddenly, when I was talking, I remembered this. It so happened that I was never fond of movies, right? So I occasionally, very rarely, I would go for a movie. I had no time. See, Saturday, Sunday, Sai Seva, and Monday to Friday, office seva. So there was no opportunity much to move. I was not a movie buff by any means. So it so happened that one particular day, a friend of mine came to my house in his car, and then he said, "Hey, let's go to this movie, this English movie. It's a very nice movie. You should come." And then I was not very excited, but I couldn't say no to him. He's a very close friend of mine. So I said, brother, I'm very busy. I have some guests at home. I cannot join you. I tried to give all kinds of reasons, cite all kinds of reasons, but then he was like, he was not relenting. He was saying, no, you have to come with me. You are coming with me today. Otherwise, I'm not going. So then he was like, he was pushy. So then eventually I couldn't say no to him. I tried my best and I got into his car and we went to a movie. 20 days later, brothers and sisters, I went to Puttaparthi. And then those days, there was this block sitting was not there. I was sitting somewhere in the 20th row. There was not a first line as well. So then Swamy comes in darshan. And from the 20th row or 15th row from the behind, Swamy says, "Hey, you come here, you come here." Bhajan was going on and Swamy called me from such distance. And I just walked up, crossed several rows and moved to the front. And then Swamy said, "How dare you go to the movie?" He said. Straight question. First question is this. And I was like shocked because I actually forgot. See, movie was never a great thing, a great excitement for me. I hardly watched movies in several years. And then I just went for one movie, and after 20 days, he says, "How dare you go to this movie?" And then I didn't know how to react. And then I was like dumbstruck. I was just watching Swamy like this. And then Swamy said, I said, "Swamy, a friend of mine has invited," and then I couldn't refuse. I tried to refuse, but he was very pushy, so I couldn't say no to him. Then Swamy said, "You figure out whether he's your friend or I'm your friend. You figure out that." He asked me in darshan while bhajan was going on. I said, "Swamy, I won't repeat this, Swamy. Excuse me." Then he says, then while he was going back, see, this was like darshan was like bhajan was going on, and then Swamy came out and he gave a stern warning, and a lot of people in Kulwant Hall were thinking, how blessed Srinivas is, how fortunate this boy is. He's called from behind, and Swamy has a word with. And I was getting blastings from Bhagwan. Okay, and then Swamy was going back, and while going back, Swamy says something very profound. He says, "Srinivas, I am watching you every minute. I'm watching you. I'm watching." Anukshanam, in Telugu, Swamy said, "Anukshanam, ninnu gamanistunnanu, jagratta." He said, "Be careful. I'm watching you every second." This is what Bhagwan said. And trust me, brothers, I was damn scared after that. Because you feel like being under a CT scan, right? So every second, the CT scan is on you. It knows what you're thinking, what you're doing. It's not easy. With Bhagwan, life is going to be very rigorous. We got to be tight. We got to be disciplined. We got to be, adhering to the expectations of what Bhagwan wants us to do. So it's very important to have good friends. And this particular experience that I'm going to share about it, this happened when I was very young. So my father used to tell me that I was one of those devotees. Again, most devotees, they think that does really Bhagwan know my existence? Many of us feel this. Does Swamy know me as a person? Right? So each one of us have these questions, right? All of us, I'm sure, when we sat in darshan, each one of us would have asked this question: does Swamy really know me? There are millions that come here, and I am a small devotee. And does Swamy really know my existence? I can share so many stories in this, which I've seen. I had the privilege to see how Bhagwan knows each devotee. Amazing story. So then it was one interview. I remember there was one youth brother who lost his mother at a young age, and his father remarried when he was doing intermediate. So his life got miserable at home because he had a stepmother and he was not very comfortable. And then eventually he went through graduation. Then with lot of pain, he came off to Hyderabad. So Swamy, during those times, he called for an interview. And then Swamy was talking to each brother inside. what are you doing, what course you're doing, how many. And then suddenly this boy, Swamy, stops, the brother who lost his mother. So Swamy stops near this boy and he says, "Hey, where are you from? What are you doing? What course you're doing?" And this boy said, "Swamy, I'm doing a BSc, Bachelor's of Science." "What BSc? Horrible marks. Oh, you got terrible marks," he said. "In maths, you got 47. In science, you got 38, like something like that." Swamy was narrating his marks. And this guy was like, he couldn't even look into Swamy's eyes, right? See, he was going through his own agony in life, and he couldn't perform. He had certain depressive moments. And then somehow I felt, see, this boy is so talented, what a wonderful singer, and a wonderful Sevadal youth member. And then I somehow felt that Swamy should bless him because he recently lost his mother. So I was feeling that Swamy should bless him amply, you know. And then in the interview, while Swamy was telling his mark, I said, "Swamy, this boy is a very nice boy, Swamy. He's a very nice devotee and a very wonderful worker, a very talented boy from Godavari region, Swamy. He's a wonderful singer as well," I told him. I told Bhagwan just to make sure that Swamy blesses him more. That was my intent. And then Swamy said, "Hey, Srinivas, I'm telling his marks. Do you think I don't know which place he belongs to?" He asked me. I said, "Swamy, of course you know. But then, we pray that you bless this boy, Swamy. He's a nice boy, Swamy." Like that. And in fact, I remember when I am narrating this, I remember another interview with Vizag Youth. I remember there was one boy who was deaf and dumb, in the group. And then it so happened that all the Vishakhapatnam youth, they got on to their knees and they prayed to Swamy that, "Swamy, this boy is a beautiful, wonderful worker, a wonderful youth brother. He does a lot of Swamy's work. He's a very talented boy. But Swamy, he cannot. He's a deaf and a dumb boy, Swamy. You should bless him." And then I expected Bhagwan to bless beautifully, But Swamy comes up with surprises, right? Swamy did exactly the opposite. Swamy said, Swamy didn't bless the way I expected him to bless. He said, see, what do you think? All these boys who are sitting here, they are not deaf and dumb. They can speak, they can listen. But what do you think these boys are doing? They abuse their senses. They speak ill of others. They talk untruth. They do all kinds of sins with the tongue. What is the use of having such a sense? You're so blessed. Swamy was telling that boy that you're so blessed that you cannot do any of those sins. And oh my goodness, I said, Swamy was giving a different perspective altogether. So we think that having right senses that are functional is a great advantage. And Swamy was actually giving that boy an impression that sometimes having these senses not functioning is a great advantage. You cannot do those sins, he said. I said, oh my God, then how do we even talk to? It's so difficult. Bhagwan has his own perspective. And then I said, Bhagwan, it's all great, wonderful. But then, he cannot take God's name with his tongue. He cannot listen to God's stories. Then Swamy said, mortal nature. You speak a lot like that. So Swamy chided me. But then, but later on, he blessed that boy beautifully. So why I'm narrating this is we have one perspective, and Swamy has a very different perspective. And then this particular experience, brothers, please let me know when the time is up so that I can stop. Yeah, and so this particular darshan, I remember the particular interview. I had this fortune of having a personal dialogue with Swamy, and then so I said, Swamy, you are now 70 years old, and you are doing so much phenomenal service to humanity. And we as youngsters, we are not doing anything, Swamy. I was confessing to Bhagwan that we are not able to do enough work for him. I said, Swamy, we are not doing any work. You are, despite being 70 years old, you're doing 24/7. You're doing so much to humanity, and we are, as youngsters, as youth, we are not doing much. And then I said, Swamy, we wish to do a lot of work, Swamy. Please bless me so that I can do a lot of work for you, Swamy. A lot of like this. I was pumping fists like this. And then Swamy likes energetic, passionate youth, right? So Swamy was also pumping fists like this. Swamy was saying, Bhagachi, you work, you do a lot of work. Come on, do it like that. Then I said, Swamy, the statement that I used is, Swamy, you take so much of shrama to do so much of seva to humanity. I was saying this, and then Swamy said, Srinivas, all this is good, but then you use that word shrama. No, I didn't like that word. He said, Shrama is you do something with stress in mind. Shrama is the burden. And Swami said, I have not done, all this work with Shrama in mind. If I had Shrama in mind, with Shrama you can only do 10 days, 20 days, or few months, but not 75 years, Bangaru. He said, if you do any work with Shrama in mind, you feel very stressed and you cannot do it over the years. And then Swami said, I've always done my work with prema. Because I've done with prema, I could do for 75 long years, 70 long years. And I still feel like I can do more and more energy comes to me because I do it with prema. If you do, you also learn to do Swami's work or your personal work with prema in mind and not with shrema in mind. If you do it with prema, you can do a lot more work and you can take a lot more burden and you can do it over longer years. What Bhagwan said. Very powerful. So it's important, especially in today's time. And this particular experience, maybe the last, because going by time, this is a very powerful experience, brothers and sisters. And this happened, we were involved in a housing project in a tribal village. It was a very, I read it in the newspapers that, there was one tribe in some forest, which is even today living with bows and arrows, and they are hunters and all that. I read it in the newspapers, and then Swamy formed this trust, and he gave us a dictum that you have to do sustained rural development projects. And 2003, and he gave us opportunity to take up such beautiful projects. And then we went to this journalist who published this story, and then we eventually convinced him to take us to that village. And we went to that village, very remote, the 3 hours of trekking, and we went to that village. We wanted to reach those communities which genuinely need help, and then we did that. And then they were not very eager to come out and speak to us. We were only a few of us, 3-4 of us. We went, and then with this tribal man, this journalist communicated in some local language to them, and then slowly the village leader, he came out, the very elderly man with a bow and arrow. He came out, and he said, we told him, it is so difficult to access you. To walk hours together to your village, and why don't you come to a place which is more accessible, so that from Sathya Sai organization we can do some housing, etc. for them, so that you can live comfortably. Then suddenly this tribal leader, he knelt down on the floor, and he kissed the soil, and he said, I cannot be ungrateful to this mother forest. He said, this mother forest has taken care of us for generations. My grandfathers, my parents, everybody survived on this forest. And today, just because you give me a better facility, I cannot be ungrateful to this forest, mother, which has fed us for so many years, so many decades. And then I cannot come to any new location. So if you want to serve us, you serve us in a place where we are living, and that we really will be thankful about. So then we were like, he pushed us to do render seva then and there only, and not in some place else. So we eventually planned, we had to lay a road to access this village, and then even that road got washed off with some rains, and 2-3 times our Seva laid road, and we eventually reached the place, And during this time, this tribal leader, with the arrow and all, we took some pictures with them, the very needy community, some 70, 40, I think 50 houses we built there. And then these photos, I had an opportunity to show it to Bhagwan in Vrindavan. So in Vrindavan, I showed this album in Darshan. So Swamy flipped through the photos, and he says, where is this forest? I said, Swamy, this is so-and-so forest in Bhadrachalam near Jangareddy. Then he said, okay, so what is the plan? What is the project? I said, Swamy, we wish to do a housing project here. Okay. Well, how much does it cost per piece? Each house, how much is it costing? And I said, Swamy, about 55 to 60,000 per piece. And then he said, Srinivas, is it RCC structure or is it asbestos structure? I actually didn't expect so many questions from Bhagwan. Okay, I was actually unprepared. And then I said, Swamy, it is RCC only. Then he says, is it with toilets or without toilets? And Swamy was going on and on. And suddenly, brothers and sisters, Bhagwan's voice changes, And then Swamy says, Srinivas, you think about it. I wish to do this seva to them. I want to make houses for them. why don't you think, I like to do this. Give me this opportunity. And this was like amazing, brothers, And then normally, see, Bhagwan seeking opportunity, rarely you get to see this. And then I said, Swami, because of your grace and blessings, the resources are all there. Because of your blessings, only resources have come. Because all we need is just your blessings so that we can get ahead with the project and deliver the houses for them. And then because of your blessings only, all this was possible. And then Swami was somehow not happy. He just left that day, from darshan. And then next morning he comes again and he says, even night I was thinking about this. Why don't you give me this chance like that? See, this is the Bhagwan, Sathya Sai Baba, the phenomena of selfless service. He taught the world what selfless service means. All his life, every moment, Bhagwan spent his life with so much of eagerness to serve humanity, day in and day out. And I was just overflowed. The words fail me actually when I narrate these experiences, because they're very, very powerful and very deep. And this is how Bhagwan role modeled himself in front of us, so that we can emulate his life and his message. And I wish to thank all the members for patiently listening to me. Sairam. I can actually share many stories, but then we have to respect time.
Sairam.
Yeah.
Sairam. It was a wonderful session. So we have a few questions before we go to the summary. Let's address a few questions. So one of the question is, Sairam, the present youths are having many challenges professionally, and how to be balanced in life? What's your advice? That's the question.
Well, challenges are bound to be part of everyone's life, and I can relate to youngsters' life because I myself have gone through those phases. And what is very important is I don't think I can advise somebody, but then I can only share my experience. So it's important to stay glued to Swamy. Fundamentally, have faith. Each one of us go through lots of ups and downs in life. Stay connected to Swamy. Have faith in Bhagwan. Keep talking to him. Make him partner with him. For instance, I remember, it so happened that in one of the interviews, Swamy, I got promoted in my work. I can only share from my experience. So I got promoted at work, and then I started taking my job easily because I got a lot of recognition. I've always already known as a best performer, etc., etc. But then Swamy was very unhappy with this. So in one interview, Swamy said, "Srinivas, you're taking your job very easily. You cannot take this easily. You have to work hard. You have to push yourself. You have to achieve so many things." And like that, Swamy suddenly, earlier in so many interactions, Swamy never spoke about my work. And only that particular time when I was taking my job or work easily, Swamy brought in a lot of seriousness. And eventually, I again put my efforts back, brought my attention back into the, because see, sometimes even Swamy Seva, we indulge so much that we tend to ignore certain fundamentals at office, etc. So that's why, as youth, it's very important to stay balanced. It's important that if someone is a great Sai worker, but he has a failed family, it cannot be right. He's a great Swamy's Sai Youth, but he doesn't have a career. Swamy will not like this. So it's important to have a great career, very good family. Take responsibilities at every level. Be a good student. Be a good employee. If you take our awards and even at work, we should attain a lot of achievements, and then make Bhagwan proud as a Sai Youth. That's what we should do, even at work. So it's important. So yes, there will be some challenges. So the best way to connect to Swamy is keep talking to him. Like for instance, I used to do one small practice where I would put my monthly targets in my office in my cabin under Swamy's photograph. I used to pray to him, Swami, this is your business. You have to do it. We both have to do it together. You're my partner. Like that. So I mean, these are these small things. Even in home, when we face some challenges, it's important to have those conversations with Swami. Make him part of our life, make him part of our every story, every up and down, and then leave it to Bhagwan. Bhagwan is there to take care of the rest. So don't worry about it. So stay glued to Bhagwan.
Fantastic. Yeah, very nice, brother. The another question is, Swami conducted your wedding. Can you briefly tell us about the same?
That's a big story, brother. Yeah, it's a big story at the end of the session. But then, yes, I was fortunate to, Bhagwan has chosen the match, performed my wedding in 2000, year 2000, and we didn't know their family. So Bhagwan, actually, my parents were not even party to my wedding. Actually, I would say, because Bhagwan played such a role that my parents were just mere witnesses. So he took over. He did everything: the marriage date, the wedding gifts, etc. I mean, see, in the end, I feel so indebted by all this, because we can never ever repay Bhagwan even an ounce of what he has given us. We can never ever repay. So these are great experiences, definitely. But then it should humble us further, because it should remind us of our responsibility. And yes, next time when we have an opportunity, maybe I can share in greater detail. But one thing I'll definitely share here, brother, about wedding. How the amount of responsibility he taught about family. Now, just now we discussed about work. So Swami also taught me certain family responsibilities. Those are worthy of sharing. So I remember in Kodaikanal, my son, we went for Swami's darshan. My son was 6 months old, and then he got hospitalized. Some milk contamination. He got hospitalized, and then it so happened that he was in a drip in the hospital, and then eventually we were missing Bhagwan. We went there to see Swami, and then my son got hospitalized in Kodaikanal. So what to do? So 3 days we missed, and he was on a drip, and we slowly brought him out. So my wife and I, so we were carrying. I was carrying the child in my hands. And then we moved out of the hospital, and Swami's car was coming. Swami was going around in Kodaikanal, and Swami's car came in front of the hospital. Surprisingly, I don't know why, which route, why, I don't know. So we came out, and my wife and we came out of the hospital, and Swami's car came. I said, "Oh my God, what a blessing this is!" And then till such time, my child was in my hand, and my hand was getting numb. It was paining. So I just gave the child to my wife just before Swami came. And then it so happened that Swami's car passed by. Swami from the car, blessed us amply, beautifully. But something gave that expression of Bhagwan's face. No? It was, I knew that something went wrong. Something kuch gadbad hai. Swami's expression mein kuch ki gadbad hai. My wife couldn't fathom it, but I could understand, because I had enough interactions with Swami. And then something wrong I've done, I was feeling. And then next morning, we all went for darshan in Kodai. And then Swami comes and says, "See, anta ammaye mostundi, nuvvemo moyaledu." See, in Telugu, he said, "See, my baby was, my wife was carrying the baby and not me." And Swami was not comfortable with that. The Swami was mentioning, "See, so your wife is taking all the load and you're not taking the load." Like that. So I could figure out that, something is wrong with this guy. And next morning he corrects me. So, why I narrated this is, it's important to take the family responsibilities very positively. It's not easy, we need to take care of the fundamentals. And one thing when the Swami always used to say is, the girl, especially before marriage, girl gives away everything. The boy doesn't give away his family, right? The girl gives away her family and comes to the boy's house, and then she goes through so much of stress, because she has forsaken the parental love, she has forsaken the comforts of a parental home, and she comes to a new home and treats in-laws as parents, treats someone whom she never knew as her husband. So Swami said, the girl goes through a lot of stress, and it's important that you don't bring tears to in their eyes. Swami used to say, "Don't ever bring tears in your wife's eyes." He said. So, since you wanted me to narrate something about the marriage, after marriage is a big story, but then I wanted to share the learnings a little bit.
Very nice, very nice, brother.
Yes,
Another, there is a very practical question. Youth say that they don't find time. How did you or your Hyderabad boys found so much time for seva?
It's a it's still an enigma, brothers and sisters, because, well, I think it was prompted by Swamy only, because the kind of encouragement that Bhagwan used to give whenever we went, we used to look for those opportunities of blessings from Bhagwan. So the moment Bhagwan infuses that motivation and energy, you feel like doing a lot. So I think all the credit goes to Swamy for all this work that has happened. But nothing great about any member or any group, because every group is motivated to do Swamy's work. But then definitely we had a very passionate young team, and with a lot of enthusiasm and talent. And Bhagwan channelized all those energies beautifully and made us work for his mission.
Oh. Fantastic, brother. There is one last question we'll take.
Sure,
it's a request rather than a question. It's a request. We enjoyed your your group bhajan when we were in Hyderabad. Please sing one song, Sairam.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So how much time are we left with, brother?
I think, minutes. Yeah. 5
minutes. Okay. So anyway, so I'll say, but anyway, chorus is not possible, right? I can only sing, right? So okay, so I'll sing one bhajan which I learned in the US. Actually, a friend of mine had taught me this bhajan. It will be a good learning as a new bhajan for all the members as well. So Om Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. Om Bhagwan Sri Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. Om Bhagavan 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 Sri Sathya Sai Babaya Namaha. It's a beautiful bhajan. I love this bhajan. I used to sing this in Shivam as well. So, I again wish to thank the Tamil Nadu organization for this beautiful opportunity given to me. And it's such a privilege to be Bhagwan's devotee. And it's such a privilege to be part of his mission. And let us all re-energize and with a lot more faith and a lot more dedication, commit and deliver for his mission. Sairam, and thank you.
Sairam, brother. Very nice, very wonderful. Actually, let me quickly summarize what the lot of messages that you have given. So you started off with saying youth stage. Swamy emphasizes that we have to focus and safeguard our youth. Then the life will be great. If we leave the youth stage, then after that the life is filled with problems. So it is very important to be connected with God during youth. And life of happiness, the happiness curve that you shared was wonderful. From 30 to 40 years of youth, balance it with the rest of 30 to 40 years. And the Swami's saying of 5 acres of land is not my place. My place is the 5-inch space in your heart. And also the great anecdotal stories, the cough story where you said that don't do seva to put aside someone else's agony. You should do it to actually put aside your agony. And the Swami's emphasis on the 5 elements, 5 senses, why eyes and tongue are more important than others. You actually reminded us of Swamy using the word Maya is like a nartaki and on the tongue, and solution is kirtana, reversal of nartaki. That was very beautiful. And the scientific episodes that you said, remembering your stature, our stature in this big universe, that is a solution for the ego.
Yeah.
And the ball, bouncing it on the wall and it rebouncing back, that example which Swamy gave for karma, same thing, do good, and you'll get good. If you do bad, you'll get bad. That was very nice. And sealing on dessert, you emphasized what Swamy said, Swamy's words on Patra Shuddhi, Patartha Shuddhi, and the thirdly, the right thoughts as well. And
Yeah.
you also said,
Pakashuddhi. Yeah.
yeah. And
Pakashuddhi. Yeah.
yeah, and money. So regarding money also, you said very three important points that Swamy mentioned. Do you really need this? That's the first question. Second one, if you need this, you should ask, can I survive without this? If no, then buy. So this Swamy has clearly given it as like a formula. And in Swamy in Kodaikanal, Swamy, so that regarding the namaskars, so that was very nice. Swamy came into the bus and Swamy said, I came into your company and I lost the namaskars, but my car, though it was in my company and it got all the namaskars. That was very wonderful. And your experience about when you saw the cinema unknowingly after 20 lot of years, Swamy said, I am watching you. It was fantastic. And the final thing, I think this is the very nice thing which Swamy said. I do not work with Shama. So even after 75 years, I don't work with Shama. I do the work with Prema. With Prema, one can do lot of work for lot more years. And so it was a very fantastic time, brother. You reminded us of lot of Swamy's sayings and your experiences.
All credit to Bhagwan, brother. All these messages belong to him, and all respects to Bhagwan, and all love to Bhagwan.
Sure. Thank you,
Sairam.
Sairam. We'll end with Loka Samasta.
Yes.
Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti. Jai Bolo Bhagwan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki Jai. Sairam.